Stan, here we are in the man cave. Try something today. Try and do another Ordinary Life video. It's been a bit of a difficult one for me to do, but I want to try it anyhow. First of all, I've got these on. It is a military channel. I am on cat duty as well, so I have to film, American film, for the purposes of what I'm going to be talking about, but I'm not too sure what it is, so don't pay any attention to that. The STG denix MP44 project is finished, and the reason I've got the white gloves on because this thing stinks like hydraulic oil. So there I've got an MP40 sling on. Probably should have got the K98 one, to be honest, but it was the right colour, so you see how it just sticks through like that. The wood, I've stained and painted it a bit. It is coming off a little bit on my hands, on my recently laundered gloves, but that'll probably be okay with handling over the years, over the months. This didn't quite tap that in, wouldn't screw in. Yeah, so that's the project finished, and I think you might agree, or you might not agree, that that looks pretty good. If you think sight thing, that what it will cost you to get one of these, if you could find one, the denix is an ideal stand-in, and that's all it is, a display piece. So there we are, that's that. Put that down. So right, take these white gloves off and just check on the cats, make sure they're not hanging around anywhere they shouldn't. Right, we'll start them. So Ordinary Life, I thought I'd do it. I've had a lot of ups and downs over the last few weeks, as I told you before, but everything's getting back to normal, and today we're having a nice little light refreshment because since my little middle-aged health crisis, my wife's been like, stop doing this, stop doing that, stop eating this, stop doing that. So I've got about an hour before she comes home. I'll hide the evidence. Anyway, okay, right. Again, not that it was anything serious. I went to America. So where did we leave the last video? I was leaving the oil rig yard, made redundant. And while we were there, me and my friend, it was me and another lad, he always wanted to go to America. Now, I wasn't, you know, I'm an alright adventurous person. I'm not someone who wants to go, you know, do something extreme, but I don't mind a bit of adventure. But America had never really come into my mind. He was really keen on it. And one of the older fellas there said, listen, if you go to America, I'm going to mention the chain of hotels that probably don't exist anymore. There's a chain of hotels called Vagabond. A lot of big towns have them. Go to the Vagabond Inn and you can book ahead. Days before the internet, remember. So 1990, me and a guy who I'd known since school, a close friend of mine, served me an apprenticeship with, and another guy who I'd known since the Army Cadets, served me an apprenticeship with him and played rugby alongside him. The other guy had trained at rugby, wasn't really a rugby player, but there was another guy supposed to be going, he didn't, so there's three of us going to America. Now before I go any further with this, I don't do Ordinary Life videos all the time. The reason why it's been a bit difficult for me to do is because you've got to remember, 1990, the world was a different place. I was a young man, even though I'd been abroad a couple of times, I was still very naive, still living in my own little bubble of what I was brought up in, and I had ideas of what America was going to be like. What it didn't turn out to be like that. Basically, I suppose I was brought up, you know, with ideas of America from watching shows like, Quantum Leap was out at the time. That was a big show. Star Trek. We all are going to get on together from all races, all walks of life. Quantum Leap was big on that. And also, I was aware that America had the civil rights movement, and I thought that America, because it has been always a multicultural society, you know, you think the original people who lived there, the indigenous people, and the Spanish conquistadors, and then European migration, etc., 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 and then people from Africa. That it had been through its worst, and it was ironing itself out. That's what I was under the impression of before I went. Me personally, I was brought up in a majority white area, but I was brought up in a mixed race family. Not by direct descent, but by marriage. But a lot of my relatives that I still see today, if they were stood next to me, I'd say their heritage is from, and you'd go, oh yeah, I get that. You know, so without going too much into it, me as a person, I'm fairly well travelled. I take people as I find them. I've got no place in my life for racism or anything. So when I'm mentioning these things in the stories, obviously it's not me to say, but when I've experienced things, I thought, oh, look, it's just my observations. If anyone feels I've said something the wrong way or anything like that, please feel free to comment. And I didn't take the video down. Don't upset anybody. It's just my impressions, my observations of American life and how it shocked me. A fairly green person, that makes sense. So let's get on with the tale. It's probably a long one, this. So we'll go to America for, I think it was 3.5 weeks. Or 3 weeks. I'm still in contact with the two fellas I went with. They live overseas now. And I probably could have asked them. But then again, their remembrances of it are going to be different from mine. You see a car crash, it was a white car, it was a yellow car, it was a red car, you know, so I'm just going to stick with what I know. Again, if they get in contact with me, say, Stan, you're full of... Also, I might be swearing, I will be swearing in this video, so bear that in mind. So we go to America, and we leave the area, we've got a bus to London. I'd only been to London once before, 1982. And again, 1993, 33 years ago. Gets to London, Victoria bus station. So bear in mind, we were all fairly green. One lad was quieter than me, I was sort of in the middle, the other guy was quite confident, but still 21-year-old, you look back, you think you're a man, you know, you're a kid. And Victoria bus station, there was some strange characters hanging around there, definitely. Oh, wearing the New York cap, there's a thing for America. And we saw homeless people in the streets. You did not see that round here. No, not it's grim up north. There was plenty of work up north maybe at the time. Yeah, there was no one sleeping rough. I cycle to work now. If I go a certain way, you see all sorts. So things have changed around here. We flew to Los Angeles, and the plan was we booked the first night's accommodation in a hotel. Then we were going to pre-book all the way around. It didn't work out there, but the relative route. I was going to write some notes down. I thought best off. If I forget something, that's it. LA, San Francisco, hire a car around Las Vegas and back. Just a circle. It wasn't 2 weeks, it was 3, maybe nearly 3, or just over 3, can't remember. I know I had to wait till I was 21 because I was the youngest, and even though they thought it was amusing just to go there for one night so I couldn't drink and they could. Obviously, if anyone's watching from America, in this country, it's 18 for alcohol, and usually you start when you're about 15 or 16 if you get in the pubs, and most of us used to, so that's another thing. So we get to Los Angeles, and gets the hire car, and it was a Mitsubishi Galant, I remember that, automatic. Who's going to drive it? Hey, I've just done 6 months in Germany, I've drove on that side of the road before, give me the car keys. First junction, it's on red, we're going right, people, beep, oh, what's happening? Obviously you turn right in America, I didn't know that. We got to the hotel, and I believe that, I have looked this up, there is a lot of Los Angeles airport hotels are called airport in the title, so I don't know which one it was, but it was one. And the other guys went into the sort it all out. I sat with the car, just sat in the driver's side, my feet hanging out the door, and like a homeless person came up to me. And again, you've got to remember, there's no access to social media. First time I'd really seen it, been aware of like a homeless person was in London just the night before. You got some money, this bloke. I'm going, no, I'm shutting the door, thinking, oh, is he going to shoot you or something? You know, that's, you know, I wasn't naive, but you get the picture. So we get showered and changed, best memory, and we come out of the hotel, and we come out, and this is why I want to lay some groundwork. If I mention ethnicity, it's simply because I'm coming from a majority white area, and I'm just describing the scene for you. And maybe I should have brought the photograph down. I was going to bring the photograph down, but I forgot, of me and my two mates in San Francisco stood there, and God, we looked just tourist target written all over us. Just don't look. Fresh faced, fluff hair, you know. Anyway, forgot to bring it down. We came out of the hotel and we were hungry, and wherever this hotel was, it was right on a major road. We turned left, I think, and looked up. There was a street that was quite dark, and there was one light on, I don't know, 80 metres down there, pizza. So we thought, oh, pizza, we'll go and have a... This is when takeaway food wasn't still... I don't think, in my town of 35, 40,000 people at the time, there might be one pizza shop. Now there's one for every person who lives here, I think. So, oh, we'll have a pizza. Goes up, the street was quite dark. We walked in, and there was an Asian guy serving behind the counter. And those 3 white, cherry cheek types walked in, and he went like that. I thought, what's going on here? He was really like shocked to see us coming in there, so surprised. So we ordered out pizza, we were talking. I got the impression he didn't want us in his shop. That was, you know, we had the pizza, we walked out. Should we go left? And it was sort of like probably a group agreement. They're like, you know, that looks even darker that way. Not as many street lights. Let's go back towards the main road. As we get towards the main road, we've seen a bar, people jiving in there, we're dancing. We got across the road, we finished the pizza outside. Goes in, it was a lot of middle-aged people my age, you know, live music. Goes to the bar, straight away ID, obviously. I was 21 by about 4 days, 5 days. So where are you guys from? And we were mistaken quite a lot for Australian servicemen at one point, because we had really short hair, like really shaved right at the back and sides, and just like a mop on top. Not a mop, even like just a bit of, like a crew cut more than anything. I wouldn't say a crew cut, but a bit longer on top maybe. A bit like the Germans in World War II. No, not that severe, but it was really high. It was the fashion around here then, really like a short back and sides, I suppose. And our accent isn't, if you've got an ear for accents, you could probably pick like a Scouse accent or a Scottish accent. Or this accent here, it's a bit odd to pick up on. It's not a very well heard one for a small area. And he said, where are you guys from? North of England. What are you doing here? Holiday? Where have you just landed? Just been up that road for a pizza. And the bloke went, up there? Yeah, well, up there. He said, that's we'll be going up that side of town. That's where the tourists disappear. I'm thinking, oh. Well, that's why the fellow, the owner, was like, not because he was scared of us, maybe thought that we would attract attention to his place from people who probably would want to investigate the contents of our bum bag, or I think the Americans call it a fanny pack, because we all have them as well. For our, that's where I'm keeping my valuables. Person who wants to mug me. So LA, we sort of drove through on the going out into the north, into California. I just remember it was like the movies, in my opinion. The guy in a Harley with a big moustache and a bandana looking at us, and we were like, hey, green as grass, And we went to, I think it was Santa Barbara first, like Spanish architecture. So obviously, being young men, we were having a beer. That's it. We get there. We didn't. The vagabonding thing didn't work out. We might have got 1 or 2 of them, but every town in America at that time had, your motels, and they were all fairly decent, to be honest. And you got to remember as well, 1990 is 33 years ago. 33 years before 1990. It was 1957. It's a long time, isn't it? It's different. So this is going to be a long video. So we go to Santa Barbara, we're at the bar having a beer, and we got jug of beer. And this guy appeared, and he is friendly, chatting, helping himself to our beer. We got another jug of beer, he helped himself to our beer. My mate, who was quite outspoken, said, hey, stand you around, get your beer. Oh, no problem. While he was talking to him, a guy slid alongside me, a stranger, and went, hey, do you want to buy some drugs? And I went, oh, drugs? Oh, I don't want any drugs. Cocaine? No, I don't want no drugs. And my mind's thinking, oh my God, in the films, in the movies, you deny the drug dealer his right to his sale, you're going to get like, or something like that. And at this, the fellow who had first joined us, I'd have to say that like, they were both ethnically different to us, but different to each other. So this guy had a go at this guy, and it was arguing with him, calling him names, leave us alone, we're all friends together, which we weren't, we only just met him. And the strangest thing about it is, if you remember Sam was green as grass, the guy who turned out to be alright was the drug dealer. That makes sense. He just said, hey, I hope you have a nice vacation. If you don't want no drugs, that's cool. He shook my hand. I thought, it was no hassle. It was the guy who was actually drinking with who was causing the trouble. And again, this is that sort of, I thought that America was all settled at the time, and obviously it wasn't. It was a bit more colourful than that, but that's the sanitised version. So I think it's when we were still in Santa Barbara the next day, and bear in mind you just go on out for a beer, and we went in this pub on the afternoon, and I always remember it was painted white inside. There was 3 of us, a barman probably much older than us, a woman in the corner, long dark hair, attractive-ish, older, much like 40 probably. So whether we got a drink initially or not, I don't know, but anyway, at some point in our first half an hour in there, 3 drinks appeared in front of us, and we were like, because I know obviously America's different when you pay on your tab and this and the other. We didn't know what was going on. The barman went, courtesy of that lady over there in the corner, and we went, and she just went, oh, all right, okay, yeah, thanks, yeah, cheers. And what the fuck she want? You know what I mean? It's like, whoa. Anyway, we drank them. Like another round of drinks came in. Fella again, courtesy of the lady in the corner. By this time, you're thinking, I don't know if I was on the end or not. I can't remember if I was on the end, or again, my friends would maybe disagree with what I said, but I don't know. This is how I remember it, sort of. I'll try. She came round, and she She was a native indigenous American person. She told us the tribe she was from, but I can't remember which one it was, to be honest. And then she started saying that what happened in America was all our fault, Europeans. And again, when you look at it from today's point of view, you can understand. Then 1990, I mean, I've read a fair bit of history about what the Europeans did to native people around the world, America, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, terrible, not good at all. But 21-year-old, we just come to California. We were pardon. I mean, my ancestors were down a coal mine or in a shipyard. They were getting, you know, all right, they were getting shot and whatnot, and brutalised. But then again, you know, they were better off, not better off than paid like servants, really. You know, it's so yeah, looking back. So to be sort of, you know, your ancestors' fault, we're like, I don't understand. And by this point, the guy who was a bit more forward going told it to go away. Just leave us alone, we're not causing you any trouble. And again, whether he saw it and told me or I actually saw it, because I can't remember, in my mind I've got the image of a silver revolver, because she did pull a handbag back, and I'm certain I saw it. You know, again, like group sort of memories. And she put a hand on it. I might have just saw with a hand in the bag, I don't remember, but she said to my mate, a pretty boy like you can disappear in a town like this. And I just thought, oh, fucking hell. Oh man, what's going on? She went to the toilet. My mate straight away said to the barman, come here. She's just threatened us with a gun. And he went, did you see it? Yeah. Did you get it out? No. I can't do anything then. Basically, that was it. Whether that was law, don't know. Whether he wasn't interested, pass. But we got out of there, and I was really, out of the three of us, I was the one most scared. I thought, I don't want this. I want to go home. I want to go back to the Teesside, North East. I don't like this. You know, Teesside, for whatever how rough it can be, you never had that sort of thing going on nowadays. I mean, you probably did. Maybe I was just naive and never saw it, but cats in, cats out. So anyway, we went for a walk down the beach. This was later on in the afternoon, and I applied sunscreen, suntan lotion, factor 10, somewhat rubbish. One hat between the three of us, no idea about sun protection or anything like that. I mean, the other two guys had been brought up going to Spain, and I'd never really been abroad, to a hot country, one holiday with my other mate a few years back, New York. Wading through the sea, and I got burnt, like really burnt, like just, my feet came right up like puddings, blisters. I should have gone to hospital probably. And for years afterwards, if I still get a bit of a colour in my skin now, especially when I was in Australia where you're a little bit more sun-kissed, you can see the finger marks down my legs, the scars where I'd actually rubbed the cream down and left it, you know, like just where it burned. I was in a bad way. It was pretty, yeah, not a good thing at all, that. So when we consequently, if I seem distracted now, it's because it's raining outside and the cats want to be in, the cats want to be out. Anyway, one of them's on the lead. She's the one who'll bugger off if I let her off the lead. So anyway, this is going to be long if I don't hurry up. We went to Salinas. Salinas was a town up the coast. Now, if I get the wrong order of the towns, it's just from memory. And as we went to Salinas, my mates were like, well, we want to go into town. I wasn't feeling very well for being burnt. I got a 4-pack of beer, 6-pack of beer. So I'm going to sit in with my feet in a bucket of cold water. Well, okay, can you drop us off in the town? Well, okay, it was dark by this time from the motel. Okay, we'll do that. Sort of, in America, you know, to walk 100 yards, you might have to drive 200 or something, you know, people who've been there. So I turned out in the street, it was literally only half a mile down the street, dropped them off. It was some sort of one-way system, so I couldn't get back the way I wanted to. So I did a big loop coming, and I realised days before sat-navs, I mean, this whole trip, I think I might have spoken to my parents once. If I did ring them, they would have gone, who? You what? Oh, it's him. And put the phone down. Oh, so imagine that happening now to a 21-year-old. Some of my other relatives, they're your younger offspring, they'd need to know everything about them as it's going on. You know. Anyway, as I headed back to what I thought was the hotel, I got to a set of traffic lights. There was a car in front of me. Golf GTI, blacked out windows. The lights were in red, they went to green. The car didn't move. Now, at the time, certainly in certain parts of America, there was a thing where if you hired a car, your license plate, that car had a thing on it that denoted that you were a tourist, or you'd hired the car, yeah. Because there was a couple of instances where people got pulled over and carjacked and probably lost their lives. I didn't know that at the time, but anyway, when the light went red again, I was about to beat the horn. And the best way I can describe it is, you know what a gangbanger is in America? Fallen Down with Michael Douglas, with the two gang, the gang type dudes in that sort of the hood. Sorry, I've got that wrong, but that's who looked out of the driver's window like that. They didn't move. Once I got a reverse, then out the other window, there was two of them, baseball caps on, looking at me. I thought, oh, what the fuck? I'm not scared of defending myself. I've played rugby for all my adult life, but these guys could have machetes for cutting the fingernails. I don't know. Could have a gun. I don't know. And I'm a target. The license plate on it says "tourist with a bit of cash in his bum bag." It goes to green again, and they don't move. My foot is on the accelerator, like trembling. I was trembling. I've never been so scared. It's not going to a war zone. I hope you appreciate these videos. Middle-aged git talking about his life, but I just remember it. Anyway, when it went to green, probably the third time, the sped off at high speed. That was the way I was supposed to go, because the freeway was that way. I thought, I ain't going that way. I'm going right. Turns right, near enough straight, or 20 yards into 3 cop cars parked at different angles. Cops have got a blow against the wall, whether they have the guns out or not. And I just thought, oh my God, this is like something out of the TV. I just want to go back to the hotel. I finally gets back to the hotel, bag. And I was like literally terrified. Anyway, we did come across a lake while we were that way, and it had a shop. We went in to get some water, and there was two guys, surfer type dudes in there. And what they had was, they were selling this bottle of green stuff. It was probably aloe vera. It's called Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it was a burn thing for if you burnt your feet, burnt your skin from sunburn. And I bought that. It was a lifesaver. I always remember they were talking in that language. I don't know if there's a word for it, where you add a bit on at the beginning and end, so someone can't understand what you're talking about. They basically were calling me a dickhead. I knew they were a fucking dickhead, whatever they were saying. I just thought, I didn't care. Just give me the burn stuff. So from there we drove up, and we went to San Francisco. Big, TV, the streets of San Francisco, Dirty Harry, all this sort of thing. Now I know I've seen video footage on YouTube of California, and it's apparent running down and homeless people, but at the time, San Francisco was beautiful. It was freezing cold in August. I think it was Mark Twain who said the coldest winter he's ever spent was a summer in San Francisco, something along them lines. And it was quite chilly. There was a walrus sat on the pier thing, jumping in the water. And we were the big mistake we made there, we were a bit ignorant. We stood on the shore and we saw Alcatraz, and we thought, well, we can see it, we don't need to go there. So we didn't. We did have a beer, of the ones who weren't driving, and that's why they have paper bags, so that you can stop seeing the alcohol. That's why on films you see hobos with paper bags. It's a bylaw, I believe. So yeah, quite a smart place, San Francisco. We had a walk about. Now, we thought that we wouldn't be able to get in that big loop in time, so literally we stayed in San Francisco. One day, because we had a couple of beers in the afternoon, we fell asleep, woke up at 10 o'clock, didn't go out that night, got up the next morning at a team meeting. What did we do? Well, I think we should push on. So that was, we shouldn't have. At the end, we had plenty of time at the end of the trip, but we didn't. It's a big shame that, because I think San Francisco, apparently, someone will tell me different, it's a bit struggling now, like a lot of places in the world, going down the nick. And we could have seen it when it was still fairly alright, which, we didn't. We went across the Golden Gate Bridge, which was, as soon as you got over that, it got really hot again. So that was quite a nice thing. The whole of California was beautiful, I thought. I really liked it. So, again, I start waffling. We came from there, we went to Lake Tahoe, on the border of Nevada and California, I think. I had sleeping arrangements, 2 double beds in these motels, so we just took turns. One had to sleep with his mate, one on his own. We were just roughing it, we were only kids. Lake Tahoe, we hired a motorboat. We thought we were great, and we crashed it in the dock on the way out. The blokes probably think, what, give these idiots a... We were flying across, my mate there, no shirt on, look at us going across the thing. And there was a paddle wheeler, what do you call it again? Ferris wheel, not a Ferris wheel, paddle steamer, going across Lake Tahoe. I was on the front thinking I was Superman hanging on the rails. We went straight through the wake, and the wake must have, from the surface of the water, it must have been a 15-foot drop. I'd seen it, and my mate cut the power because he backed out, and that we nosedived into it, and I got soaked, and we nearly sank the boat. that was Lake Tahoe pretty much. And from there, I'm trying to think where we went from there. We cut across to Baker or Barstow. I might be getting this wrong, probably am. But we ended up in a small town. It was one of these. It was either Baker or Barstow, I think. This could be wrong because it was a bit further south to drive. And we ended up in a bar, the only bar in town. And again, they thought we were Australian servicemen. And there was a bloke in there. One bloke. He looked crazy. I ended up playing pool with him. And while I was playing pool, my mates are there watching within earshot. He goes, "Hey buddy, I manage a ranch. Do you want to go back to the ranch?" And I hurt myself there. I thought, what the fuck does that mean? No, I don't. My mates are pissing, so I was laughing. "You're gonna get it." And I said, "I don't know." He went, no, we go back and shoot up. And I thought, drugs again? And I thought, no, I am not. Not interested, mate. At that, like a hooter went off. I'm sure a hooter went off, and the gold miners came in. So if it's Barstow or Baker, one of them's got a little gold mine or a big gold mine. These fellas came in, and one of them was, am I going to say, a typical American, big fella, proud of his work in life, drinking, you know, having fun, talking to us. And they were all right. The weirdo buggered off, which was a good thing. And then we ended up from there, probably pretty much. Went to Las Vegas. The water park was strange. Again, you got to remember how long ago this was, and the children in there. I say children, teenage kids. A lot of them seemed overweight. Now you might think, what's a 21-year-old bloke noticing that for? It's just because, well, it was just you did. I mean, I don't think billing. I don't think round here whether say the local rugby clubs and soccer clubs, our local rugby club didn't have like a junior section as such, but just the kids looked overweight, and something that's quite obviously caught up with as the years have gone by. I've seen it happen at rugby because of, I think, my own personal opinion, the availability of fast food for kids. That's simply it. It was just a strange thing that, you know, most kids were like skinny around here, I suppose, but there you go. And two of them, American kids, were quite forward. I mean, 14-year-old, what's wrong with your ankles? By this time, I've been swimming in Lake Tahoe and it cooled it down. I had a lot of loose skin, and they were saying, "You've got scabies." I'm going, "No, I've got scabies. I haven't got scabies at all." But that's, you know, that was the way they were going on. And we went to a gas station, petrol station. I was having trouble getting the nozzle in the cap thing, and the fella, there was a bloke with his back to me, and I thought he was an attendant, and I shouldn't have. I mean, one mate was in the car, the other one had gone to prepay. I tapped this guy on the shoulder. I said, "Can you tell me how to get this nozzle in here?" And he turned out, he had scabs and cuts all over his face. I straight away I knew I made a mistake. He went, "What?" I said, "Oh, get this in here." And he looked down at my ankles and went, "What's happened to your feet?" I said, "Oh, just sunburn." "Shot? You got shot?" "Who shot you, man?" "Boom, boom." No, I didn't get shot. And he started telling me his wife had left him in the desert, he was going to kill her, and I'm thinking, you know. So I knocked on my mate's window. I said, "Hey, wind the window." And he locked the door. So he asked me for some money. I got my wallet out. Now American money is all the same, just with different letters on, numbers. And I think he took $50 instead of $5. So, Las Vegas, that was probably the worst accommodation we ever stayed in. That wasn't, I seem to remember, and I didn't. 2 seconds, cat check. I think we're all right. I didn't take to Las Vegas, me personally. My other mates were like, they were in the all-you-eat buffet, the gambling, the this and that. At one point, I was just sat at a bar for ages. They're on the Wheel of Fortune. Everyone looked over, they're laughing at me. And I'm thinking, what am I laughing at? I just sat there drinking. The bar was like an L shape. I was just sat watching through like a tinted mirror show, like a tribute, like Motown tribute. I don't know, it wasn't like sort of like, I don't think it wasn't like the Four Tops or the Drifters. It might have been, I don't know, but it was a bit obscure. But I was watching that, and they came over and, "Who's your mate?" I said, "Oh," and there was a bloke with long hair and long fingernails over there. And I turned to look at him, and he went, and I thought, they said, "Oh, he's been watching you." I thought, "That's 15 minutes. So, well, anyway, so that was you know, going into Caesar's Palace, all the beautiful people in the togas, men and women, and you just think, wow, this, I don't know, it didn't quite get me like it got the other two lads, in my opinion. Just, I get it, I do get it, but I've been there once, and even though it's a long time ago, I don't think I'd like to go there again. And the strange thing is, out of everything we went to see in America, when like the trip was getting planned, I thought about Las Vegas and the big neon tilt and cowboy. That's probably what I wanted to see. Again, like off the movies, or where U2 played The Streets Have No Name, but it just didn't work out like that. I think the second, we were 3 nights, the second night, I stayed in the hotel bedroom and I got the piss taken out of me for doing that, but I just watched the films. I wasn't bothered, I wasn't interested. We did fly through the Grand Canyon on a little aeroplane, got a certificate, so I can't find it. It must be somewhere else. 30 minutes, oh, this is going to be terribly wrong. And that was interesting, Hoover Dam. The next day at breakfast we met an American actor. He wasn't famous, but he gave us his impersonation of several European accents and British accents. They all sounded like Dick Van Dyke. But anyway, so from there, where did we go from there? Las Vegas. Just a pause. Oh, my mind works this one over. Yeah, sort of remembered. We went to Death Valley, probably after Las Vegas. Can't remember how it works out. We thought it was funny to leave one of my mates with no shirt or just in his shorts and trainers, and drove off and left him. And cars were stopping to pick him up, and we didn't realise the stupidity of our actions. But when we finally went back from him, we drove around him in a circle, and he was a big fella, big rugby lad, and he jumped on the roof, and the roof of the tyre car went out. Like, so we had to do some improvised panel beat to get that out before we handed that back in. But Death Valley, yeah, very awesome place. We came back round to, we ended up in San Diego. I think that was getting on towards the end of the trip, and we realised we'd wasted too much time rushing to get to where we were. I think we had 4 days left, or maybe even 5 days. We stayed in one motel with like a pool and stuff like that, and just puttered around. We went to the pub one night, and there was these young ladies there. They were with, say there was 3 or 4 of them, and 3 or 4 guys, fellas about the same age, and they were hugging each other and crying, and this is August 1990, remember. Again, no social media, you're not in touch with the rest of the world. And they went, the fellas went, and we just started talking. We're very friendly people, Americans, very friendly people, and apart from the ones who wanted to pull a gun on us, of course. And I said, what's wrong? She said, they're going to war. What war? And that was, they must have been regular army or reservists getting called up for the war that happened in Iraq in 1990. And these girls said, oh, do you want to come to a party? There wasn't anything in it. One of the lads invited them up, I'm going to go back to the hotel. So me and my friend went, took some beer, and we got there, and it was, the people hosting the party was San Diego Rugby Club types. And my mate was getting a bit, he's the more confident one, was getting a bit off. Like we took a case of beer and they were just helping themselves to it, and not any comeback. And we just had chit chat with them, and they were, I was discussing with them about the poverty, some of the poverty we'd seen, and the differences in different areas, sort of, you know, like lower class areas and different areas, or people seem to live in different parts of town. But they were all rich kids, you know, that was, you know, so why would we go to the rough end of town when we live here? But, yeah, okay, that's fair enough, that was their opinion. And the girls went, and they said, oh, we're going to go to someone else's house for a party, and this was getting on, so my mate said, we'll go home. And anyway, the guy whose house it was a big heavy fella, and he said, I'll take you home in my car. Now, he'd been drinking, and my mate turned around and went, I don't want some big fat driving me around so you can stuff it, or something along those lines. I'm thinking, oh man, just chill, relax. Anyway, we went outside, and we got a taxi. And that was about it. We didn't get pulled for dents in the car. I don't think there's anything else I've missed out. I probably will realise there was something I've missed out at the end, but you're not going to listen to me talking for 40 minutes. The final thing in the nail in the coffin, if you like, was I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. Brought my mum something, as you do when you're that way. I bought her like a raven head crystal eagle's head. Quite expensive, £80–90, and you had to buy it at the shop, and then they would put it in a place that was given to you on the plane, so you didn't have hold of it all the way through your, you know, getting checked and whatever. when I got it home, I got my dad some wild turkey. When I got home and opened the box, it was in a little thing, foam. There was a big chip out the bottom. I was actually looking at it the other day, but there was no chip in there. That makes sense. So obviously they got a broken one, put it in. There you go, mate. So I couldn't do anything about that. I couldn't go back and claim. And we ended up in London through a bit of miscommunication. One of us, and it wasn't me, missed the bus, and he had to spend the evening from 7 o'clock till midnight in Victoria bus station in London in the local pub, and he said it was scarier than Los Angeles. So that was it. That was my trip to America. I think I've rattled through it pretty quick. I don't think I've missed out nothing to be worthy to talk about. And I hope that it comes across as, I was quite surprised in America that we went to Disneyland as well. Disneyland, but there was a photograph of me in the crowd going out. Should have got some of the photographs up, but yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see. Just wasn't what I thought it was in the films, but then again, life never is it? So, and I've never been back to America. Whether I would go back, I'm not sure. The closest I've come is to Niagara Falls. I've been on the other side of the Canadian border, looking at US customs. But as yet, I've never been back. So that's Stan. There's SGG 44, and the latest chapter in his ordinary life. That's probably one of the few that are going away from work. Not involved in work, but I'm going to have to go and sort these cats out because it's raining. My wife's home in 25 minutes, and if the cats are wet, I am for the high jump. So this is Stan, and I'll see ya.